Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Bushman and Dr. Scott Bradley, freedomsrisingsun.com. Break it down for you. This is Liberty Roundtable Live, hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use, and it all starts now. This is the broadcast for the 16th. We're going to talk about gold and silver prices are soaring. Dan Bongino resigns, as you know, taking up his own talk show. Midterm election projections. Will Trump attack Iran again? Bill and Hillary Clinton face contempt charges. Trump's behavior with a foreign exchange, or not a foreign exchange, wow, with a Ford factory worker is suspect. We'll talk about that. Not to mention agricultural secretary. 75% of Americans will tell you what they are for or against. Tucker Carlson facing big-time criticism. Of course, Machado and Trump, very interesting twist of events. And then the great healthcare plan. Everything is great by the Donald. Whether it is or not is beside the point. He calls it great, and so it is. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm Sam Bushman, Dr. Bradley. Welcome back, sir.
Well, thank you very much. I've got a whole litany of discussion points. Just one brief one that we can't let pass. This happened 107 years ago today. It turned America into a nation of criminals. Our prison system blossomed, something you're proud of, I'm sure, but we are the most incarcerating first world nation in the world, for sure, and virtually everybody nation too. But 107 years ago, there was this little amendment that was signed, the 18th Amendment, Prohibition, and suddenly Americans were all criminals, and nobody was willing to give their alcohol up. You know, putting alcohol into a constitution, now this sounds you should be able to understand this intuitively. You put alcohol into anything and it diminishes its performance. Well, except for a funny car or something like that. But at any rate, we poured into the United States a prohibition against alcohol. Now, alcohol obviously has got a lot of downsides. Probably been more harm caused to the nation's world population than maybe even all the wars combined. I don't know. But nevertheless, putting a prohibition to it in a constitution is not a place for that to happen. And stupidly, the United States did that 107 years ago today. That amendment was ratified. Didn't get unratified, if you will, or rescinded until December 1933. So all those years, they were packing the prisons with bootleggers and creating a generation of NASCAR drivers, I guess. But at any rate, I thought I'd mention that because sometimes, even if something like a constitutional amendment is done appropriately, according to Article 5, it blows up in the face and it causes huge problems for years. We haven't recovered it from it yet. Anyway, just thought I'd mention that.
And let's break this down, ladies and gentlemen, just so you kind of understand a little bit more detail about this. So 107 years ago, the 18th Amendment turned ordinary Americans into criminals. Ratified in 1919, the 18th Amendment launched Prohibition, banning alcohol nationwide. Overnight, everyday behavior became illegal, fueling black markets, fueling organized crime, and teaching a lasting lesson about peaceful conduct. The problem is here, folks, we're not saying alcohol is fine, and we're not saying it's good, but sometimes the hell's paved with the best intentions. You cannot force these kinds of things on people. And yes, alcohol's done plenty of damage. It's destroyed marriages. It's destroyed health. It's destroyed, family, children. It's made, people violent. I mean, you can go through the litany of problems with alcohol, and we're not defending alcohol at all. But what we are saying is, why on earth would we have some bureaucrat government thugocracy thousands of miles away from us be able to dictate that? The same thing, Dr. Bradley, with hemp or marijuana or whatever you want to call the THC or, even some of the products that are derived from those plants that aren't even mood inducing or changing or whatever you want to call it. The problem is, we think we can just mandate all these things, and all we do is cause other problems that are way worse. People have agency, and as long as they're not harming another, it's pretty hard to say we should control that, especially at the federal level, Doctor.
There's no question it's way out of line in every way, but you bring up the war on drugs. Again, a similar kind of situation. It's leading us into World War III right now, ostensibly, because Trump uses a very poor excuse for something, which he's pretty prone to. But this oh my goodness, the drugs are coming out of Venezuela. Venezuela? When was the first time you heard Venezuela was a problem? When Trump said it, because most of our narcotics, these hard things like cocaine and fentanyl and stuff, are coming out of Colombia and Mexico and China for some of the precursor chemicals. But the fact of the matter is that any excuse is a good excuse, and there's taken more and more control. The general government, 45th Federalist paper, its powers are few and well defined. And alcohol was not one of those issues, nor is education, nor is war on drugs. I mean, there's just a gob of things that are causing us problems, and certainly not going to war because some other nation challenges you to.
And let's be very clear. Like I say, I'm not saying that drugs are great or that alcohol is great or anything else. But what I am saying is there's a degree where, trying to legislate decisions like that, if you're in your house and you make beer in your basement and you drink beer in your house and you're not bothering anybody else or whatever the case be, or even, I don't think that the government really has a say in that. And one of the interesting things to me about this is, they want to make it either legal or illegal, as if you have choice A or choice B. How about if we do something different? What if we say it's not going to be legal or illegal? There's no law related to it. However, there might be a law in terms of if you, sell it to others, or, there might be some kind of appropriate guideline for civilized society. But that's downstream, and it's at the federal level. Nevertheless, it's not a federal level issue. But anyway, my whole point is, somebody would say, well, there needs to be some restraints. And sadly, when people don't self-govern, there's a vacuum. And what happens is government always steps in. But we learned our lesson with the 18th Amendment. Kind of. We should take the lesson all the way to the bank, Doctor. And so, Trump just deregulated marijuana, or whatever you want to call it, made it less of a, what do you want to call it, drug, or put it less on the list of harshness of drugs, or whatever it's called. That alone, it makes you believe that somehow Trump has authority over this. He's just playing games. He's pandering to a crowd. What he needs to do is get out of it altogether, Doctor.
Well, you're on the right path here, Sam. I have to concur with the things you're saying. Just so everybody knows, Trump didn't do anything spectacular with what he did with the cannabis stuff. He took it off the class schedule and put it on the class 3 schedule,
which means it's not considered as dangerous at all, right?
Right. And now there can be research done about it for medical uses. It's a kind of a process they're going through. But you're absolutely right. This is an overstep right from the very beginning. And class 1, class 3, yada, yada, yada. If you're ever buying a firearm from a FFL dealer, you'll find that if you check that you're a user of cannabis, regardless of whether it's legal in your state or not, and for its recreation or medicinal purposes, you're still violating federal law, and you cannot buy another firearm under those conditions. So it's been what Trump did, or claims to have done, is a very minor adjustment in how cannabis
panders to people, and it makes it a little bit lighter. But again, it suggests that the government should and rightfully has all of that. That's, in my opinion, where he steps in it. If he were to simply say, hey, we're going to be getting rid of these regulations because they don't belong at the general level, kind of like the ban or the promotion of abortion was, I go there. But when he says, hey, I can just decide it's less dangerous, let's study it, it's just pandering, because it doesn't really change the game or appropriately address the proper delegation of government authority, right? I mean, that's really the key issue here.
Well, selling the country down the drain, because I know plenty of very, very good people that, I love them like family. Of course, that's kind of a double-edged sword, I guess, but that are absolutely dyed in the wool, true blue against cannabis. And they have very, very strong opinions. What we're talking about is principles.
And they have a right to those opinions.
But the thing is that they're way beyond the purview of the general government. And if the general government says we can't import it, okay, that's a congressional authority, and Congress can pass a law says you can bundle that stuff up in bales and ship it in the United States. We interdict at the border, but it doesn't mean they have authority to incarcerate people all across the nation and make us the largest incarcerating nation in the world.
Amen to that. We'll talk more. We're also going to talk about gold and silver going through the roof. Dr. Bradley with me. You're watching Liberty Roundtable Live.
Attention collectors and savvy investors. We are excited to announce a momentous evolution in our journey. Introducing Free Water Coin Company, formerly known as Rust Coin and Gift. This rebranding takes us back to the very roots of where it all began, Free Water, Oregon. It's a tribute to the legacy of Al Rust and a celebration of 3 generations of dedication to excellence in the world of coins and precious gifts. Al, Brian, and Jake Rust standing strong through 64 years of service. Discover a world of exceptional service at Free Water Coin Company, your premier destination for genuine, honest money and precious gifts. Under Brian's expert guidance, Free Water Coin Company, building on the legacy of Rust Coin and Gift, continues its tradition of trust and excellence. Visit us at our Provo, Utah location. Explore our treasures online at freewatercoinco.com or call us at 801-377-1574. Free Water Coin Company, where your future is built one honest coin at a time.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcast at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
107 years ago, the 18th Amendment was passed, ladies and gentlemen. It was disaster, turned everybody into criminals, promoted organized crime. It teaches an incredible lasting lesson, ladies and gentlemen, about dangers of criminalizing widespread peaceful conduct. And that kind of comes to it, too. If somebody were to grow marijuana in their at their house, and then they were to use it internally and not affect anybody or do anything to anybody or anything else, the general government thinks they have authority over that, but they're in a sovereign constitutional republic, a state, doctor. And if it doesn't cross state lines, and if it, the general government has nothing to do with that, at least from a delegated point of view.
Unquestionably, your position is correct. Let me just also parenthetically state the term marijuana is a pejorative term. It was put together of this crazed, Mexicans, Mary Jane and Juan, that got on this substance, and they did all sorts of heinous crimes and everything else like that. It was a pejorative term that was coined. Cannabis is a more correct name, and it was, and actually is, it's a natural solution to many challenges, and was introduced and used often in the United States as a pharmacy kind of product. But it is an herb. And so anyway, all of these things, perhaps people are hearing for the first time, and Trump's involved in it, and he's a bad guy because he changed it from class 1 to Schedule 1 to Schedule 3.
Or he's a great guy because he did that, or...
Right. But people are operating off a consistent set of facts, I guess I should say, and that's a nice way of saying fake news. But No, there's just plenty of that. I am absolutely astounded. Maybe we can shift gears, move on for a minute. But the fact of the matter is, I am appalled, shocked, and chagrined at what is passing. You get an official looking, news desk setting, and somebody's talking authoritatively. It's like Dan Blather or Walter Crankcase, just icon of honesty and integrity, telling you the latest in the news. And so much of it nowadays is Bravo Sierra. You've got
Let me tell you
to
the reason
check.
that I highlight and the reason that change at least is somewhat beneficial, even though it's not perfect, is because people can study it more. But I'll give you a quick example. If you go get on psychotropic drugs from your doctor and you have a prescription, you can still get a gun, right, doctor?
Not if it's a schedule. But okay, you're talking about maybe a Prozac type drug or something like that, a black box labeled. Oh yeah, that's not an issue.
Okay,
but
you can get a drug, you can get a gun, but if you are on medical marijuana because of the weirdness of the laws and everything else, you can't get a gun in many cases. And so I just find that fascinating because if you want to talk about the danger of those psychotropic drugs, just go read the side effects if you want to, drill in. Those things are a gazillion times more dangerous. Or if you want to drink a bunch of alcohol, you can have a gun, no problem. But if you ever touch marijuana, and marijuana, in my opinion, is very mellow compared to these examples we're pointing out. I'll get you way more crazy oftentimes. Some of these psychotropic drugs make, things euphoric. You don't even have reality. You have bouts of depression and all kinds of crazy side effects. And this isn't a promotion or defense of marijuana necessarily either, or the use thereof. But it is a reality check to say, see how we've done this? I mean, we've been basically told that marijuana is like the worst thing in the world. But hey, if you have some Narcan to get you off some heroin or whatever, hey, you can still have a gun, right? I mean, or you have some type of psychotropic drug, no problem at all. Our society is completely mixed up on this, doctor.
Well, they are, and it's getting more and more difficult to get a full list of the psychotropic, mind-altering type drugs that all of
because
these
the list keeps growing.
Well, it is, but there's also a problem. in all the cases where we've been able to get the list of the medications that these mass murderers were on, all of them were on some sort of one of these mind-altering psychotropic type drugs, a depression drug or something like that alters your behavior. And it's always been that way. And nowadays they're kind of filtering that a little bit more. Well, if we tell them that, it'll just add fuel to their fire. So they're getting more and more reluctant to publicize those circumstances. But that is the case. You look at go back to Columbine, and look at all these kids that are, just shooting up the classroom. They're all on those kinds of things from those that we've been able to gather that information.
Yeah, that's right. And there's a lot of more mellow herbs, cannabis just being one of them, that could probably make a lot of difference and help these people in very meaningful ways. I do know an autistic child who's, nonverbal, pretty strong, pretty big, grown up, teenager, and when they give him medical cannabis, he just calms right down. And I'm not saying that's great, but compared to all the drugs they've had him on before, it's a blessing for the family. There's a lot less side effects and problems. And anyway, there's some examples where it's just not debatable of the value provided there. And we need to realize we're being done this for nigh on to 100 years about on the cannabis stuff, or at least 50 plus. It's very strange. All right, President Trump has unveiled the great health care plan to lower health care costs, he says, for American patients by allowing them to choose their own health care options. The great health care plan will stop sending big insurance companies tons of taxpayer subsidy payments. Instead, send that money directly to the American people, Caroline Levitt explains. Let's see if we can get that Caroline Levitt video, and we'll have her kind of explain this, and then we'll go to President Trump. Trump basically lamented that Obamacare was designed to make insurance companies rich, as billions of dollars of subsidies were funneled to these insurance companies and costs skyrocketed. Here's Caroline.
This morning, President Trump unveiled a health care plan for America called the Great Health Care Plan, and a video message detailing his solutions to lower costs for all Americans and significantly improve our health care system. The Great Health Care Plan will accomplish this through 4 common sense pillars. Number 1, permanently lowering prescription drug prices. Congress can get this done by codifying President Trump's historic Most Favored Nation initiatives into law to guarantee Americans the same low prices for prescription drugs that in other countries around the world pay. Additionally, by increasing consumer choice by making more verified, safe pharmaceutical drugs available for over-the-counter purchases. Number 2, the Great Healthcare Plan will stop.
All right, yeah, this is cutting out. So, anyway, that's cutting out. So I guess that's the end of Caroline Levitt. President Trump says, I want to end this flagrant scam, and I want to put extra money straight into the health care savings account under your name. You can go out, you can buy your own health care that way, Trump explained. And you'll make a great deal. You'll get a lot of health care for a lot less money. It'll be awesome. Instead, they say the plan will fund the cost sharing reduction program
This morning,
which the White House said would save taxpayers at least $36 billion. This measure alone, he says, should cut premiums on the most popular Obamacare plans. It's hard to believe there's any because it's a hated programs, but we believe it'll cut costs big time. And there's a third pillar to this, holding big insurance companies accountable in plain English. This requires health insurance companies to publish the rates and the details and da-da-da. It's all going to be transparent and everything else. Here is President Trump speaking out about this. I don't know if this one will work or not. Let's try it.
Today, I'm thrilled to announce my plan to lower healthcare prices for all Americans and truly make healthcare affordable again. We're doing things that nobody's ever been able to do. We're calling it the Great Healthcare Plan. Instead of putting the needs of big corporations and special interests first, our plan finally puts you first and puts more money in your pocket. The government is going to pay the money directly to you. It goes to you, and then you take the money and buy your own health care. Nobody's ever heard of that before, and that's the way it is. The big insurance companies lose, and the people of our country win. This proposal locks in the massive discounts on prescription drugs that my administration is achieving through our Most Favored Nation drug pricing agreement. Now, when you hear about that, for 40 years they've been trying to do it, but they never were able to do it. No other president was able to do it. I got every other country to approve it by the use of tariffs and other things. They all approved it. Nobody else got it. No other president got it. For the most part, they didn't even try because they felt it was impossible. It'll bring down drug prices 80, 90%, in some cases, just nobody's ever heard of before. Your prescription drugs will come way, way down. And under this policy, the prices of many drugs will be slashed by 300, 400, and even 500% starting this month at the TrumpRx.gov. So instead of Americans paying the prices in the world, which we have for decades, we will now be paying the lowest cost paid by any other nation.
All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I believe that Donald Trump is tapping into a socialist mentality. It sounds really good. Cut out the bad guys, stop the scam, stop the insurance companies from getting rich, and we're going to bless you and your lives. The problem is it's socialist to the core, ladies and gentlemen. It actually backs Obamacare in a very strange way. We'll get to that in just a second. I want to talk about this in detail, and then we'll talk about RFK Jr.'s food pyramid change. So the negative is this healthcare thing. We'll talk about it. And then the food pyramid's pretty good stuff. Dr. Bradley and yours truly in seconds on Liberty Roundtable Live.
Your daily Liberty Newswire. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. Minneapolis remains a city on edge as protests continue against an immigration crackdown. The Trump administration is defending aggressive crowd control tactics used by federal agents as President Trump considers using a rarely used legal tool. Michael McDaniel is a retired brigadier general.
There is no question that the President of the United States can use the Insurrection Act as legal authority to call out National Guard troops. The last time this was done was in 1992 by George Herbert Walker Bush because of the riots in L.A.
But McDaniel says the troops are limited in what they can do. A federal appeals panel has reversed a lower court decision that released a former Columbia University graduate student from an immigration jail. It's a decision that could lead to the deportation of the Palestinian activist. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports on yesterday's White House visit by this year's Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Venezuelan opposition leader and Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Corina Machado met with President Trump at the White House. The president had been lobbying for the Peace Prize. It went to Machado.
I presented the President of the United States the medal.
The president confirmed on social media Machado had left the medal for him to keep, and he said it was an honor to meet her. Machado says she presented the medal
as a recognition for his unique commitment with our freedom.
The two discussed Venezuela's future, despite the president's doubts about Machado's leadership. Ed Donahue, Washington.
The 22-year-old Utah man charged with killing Charlie Kirk is due back in court today. His attorneys seek to disqualify prosecutors over an alleged conflict of interest. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. Now that we're finally into the new year, a lot of us are thinking about taxes, home projects we've been putting off, ways to get ahead financially in 2026. Now's the perfect time to talk to my friends at Fellowship Home Loans. If you want to lower your mortgage payment, they can help you refinance. If you need access to cash for home improvements or to wipe out high-interest debt, their fixed-rate line of credit is one of the best tools out there. Fast approval, predictable rate, and flexibility to use your home's equity wisely. Remember, many people still qualify to skip their next 2 mortgage payments. Imagine starting big projects or paying down debt with 2 months of breathing room. My family and I have used Fellowship personally. I trust these guys. Take control of 2026. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. or call 800-510-MIKE. That's 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans. Mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers. DBA Fellowship Home Loans. Equal housing lender. NMLS number 819382.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
You know where the solution can be found, Mr. President? In churches, in wedding chapels, in maternity wards across the country and around the world. More babies will mean forward-looking adults, the sort we need to tackle long-term, large-scale problems. American babies in particular are likely going to be wealthier, better educated, and more conservation-minded than children raised in still industrializing countries. As economist Tyler Cowen recently wrote, quote, "By having more children, you're making your nation more populous, thus boosting its capacity to solve climate change. The planet does not need for us to think globally and act locally so much as it needs us to think family and act personally. The solution to so many of our problems, at all times and in all places, is to fall in love, get married, and have some kids."
All right, back with you live. We're talking about the great American health care plan that Donald Trump is putting together, and I'm telling you, it's flat out socialist. Let me explain. He wants to put money in an HSA account for you, but the problem is, based on the IRS tax code, all right, you got to understand that you got to have a high deductible or catastrophic plan. Yeah, Obamacare through the government portal so that you can get an HSA account tied to that plan, and then they can go ahead and put, your money in there. But if you have like a health share, not a health care, or if you have a health care plan that doesn't support HSA, then you're out of luck. So it sounds good, folks. But unless they change the game, it's very vague. Congress would have to act. They'd have to change the IRS code. This would be a sweeping change. Unless Trump changes it, the government controls how HSA funds are even used. Okay? For example, you can't use them for your insurance premiums. Okay, you can't use the HSA money to pay insurance premiums, except for in very limited situations. So it would require change in the law. Congress would have to be aboard. I mean, it sounds good on the surface, folks, but I say it's a problem. Okay, under current law and tax rules, you must have an HSA insurance plan or a, quote, marketplace plan that's HSA compatible in order to truly participate in and contribute to an HSA account. So what that's going to do, unless that changes, doctor, that's going to force everybody, if you want to take advantage of any of this benefit Donald's talking about, you got to jump on the marketplace there, buddy. And a lot of these, if we're not very careful, health shares will go away. People paying cash or saving their own money for their insurance can't take advantage of anything. I mean, this is a disaster, doctor.
Well, there's so many things that I perceive as being incorrect and challenging, problematic, and all those kind of terms. As is everything that Trump does, it's long on promise and short on details. And overarching and undergirding all of that, I mean, you say, oh, you're going to be able to buy your own insurance. That sounds like the free market. Oh, wait a minute. If the government had no hand in it, you'd be able to do that. Oh, wait a minute. That's the way it was before government got involved. That's the way before that they escalated the prices of insurance so high because of government intervention and government reporting. And, your physician and you are left out of the loop. I mean, there's so many things wrong with this. There is zero authority for a government to decide how you are going to be insured. And the fact that they're using government force to take funding from everybody or most people, anybody that's paying taxes anyway, and then they're redistributing that wealth by some manner is simply a socialistic welfare state. So
and what it really does is it codifies and ensures that the Obamacare plan will grow under this guise of we're taking out the middleman, the bad guy, and letting you do it. But really the bad guy is the government. And by doing this, they're literally forcing people who aren't on this system to eventually become on it with more handouts. I mean, it'll make the plan, the Obamacare, grow is what it will do, doctor. Instead of getting rid of it, it actually expands it big time.
What it does is more firmly entrench it into the United States psyche. That's exactly what happened with this whole Bravo Sierra debate that was happening back during the shutdown. Oh, people need these subsidies. They can't get insurance. Those subsidies were put there by government process. And now even so-called conservatives are very much in favor of some kind of government assistance for people that need health care. Everybody needs health care. We find different ways of getting it, but government is not the solution to that. And I think, quite frankly, churches are very remiss in the way they've been doing this, in that they're turning their natural Christian responsibility over to government, which uses force, compulsion. Government's not eloquence, it's not reason, it is force. It's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. So government, by force of arms, takes your property, your money, gives it to somebody else to pay for their health care. Whereas in a Christian type, or I don't care what religion it is, if charitable donations are given or people are offering, it's good for the soul, all that kind of stuff. I think that there's plenty of donated money available out there without having to confiscate it. So,
Amen
like
to
say,
that. And I'm somewhat of an expert on this, doctor. I wouldn't say that I know more than anybody else. I'm just telling you that I've been insurance licensed in the past. And the reason that I'm somewhat of an expert is because I've helped HR departments for corporations write up a plan for health care. And that's a weird term, health care, because that triggers all kinds of government guidelines and regulations and controls and subsidies and minimum pricings and government control of all the prices. And so don't use the word health care. If you do, you're in that trap. Health care is a whole different world that they eked out in the 80s that let these private Christian and otherwise companies create these health share plans. You can't use the same words because they're codified in law, so you don't have a deductible. You have a shareable amount, and it sounds like they're, just playing games with words, but they have different meanings and different details attached to them. The best health opportunities you can get right now are as follows. Find yourself what's called a direct primary care, DPC, direct primary care. And you can get one of those. And what happens is those people get paid when you're well. So the one I have, I think, costs like $130 a month for your family. But then when you go in, it costs like a $10 copay. But they can do x-rays and they can do all kinds of different things for you. And so you go in and see them, and you only pay $10 when you do. And it's like $129 a month. Well, they want you to basically be healthy as you can possibly be, because if they can get $129 a month from tons of families and everybody's well, nobody has to go in there. And so this direct primary care that I have is kind of like an Instacare. They're open more than any doctor's office would be. You can access them whenever you need. It's not expensive. If you don't want to go in and pay the $10, you can do a telecall and talk to a doctor for free. And it's the best secondary primary way to get help. What do I mean by secondary and primary? I say secondary because, you can talk to you and your wife and your family and think through it yourself and decide what you do. Or you can then secondarily rely on these people as your primary first solution. It's very inexpensive. Employers can provide it, or you can get it yourself. And it takes care of a lot of things for you and holds down costs. After that, you can get a catastrophic private plan. They're harder to get because Obamacare, taken over the marketplace. But if Obamacare was gone, you could get these high deductible catastrophic plans that would be very inexpensive. Then all you have is the middle between those two, the first primary care thing, the direct primary care, and then the catastrophic. What would fill in the middle is some of these health share programs. And believe it or not, they're very good because they have groups based on beliefs and ideals. So if you're part of these health share plans that are Christian, you'll be monogamous with your spouse, or you won't be involved sexually. You're not a smoker. You're not a drinker. And they put these people in categories, and they have managed to create these health share plans that are about half the cost or a third of the cost, depending on some of these health care plans, even with government subsidies. So anyway, all I'm telling you is there's ways to solve these problems. And I'm telling you right now, this great plan of Donald Trump is flat out Obamacare socialism, repackaged Republican is all it is, doctor.
Well, that's the problem, is that, like Alexander Pope said many years ago about evil, first endure, then pity, then embrace. That's where we are on the socialized medicine scale with, really it started in really heavy pressure back in the 1940s. I knew people that were involved in that. They're dead now, I well imagine. A good friend of mine that was a physician back in 1943 told me of his people's efforts to avoid this socialized medicine world. Well, it has been endured, it's been pitied, and now it's being embraced. And it's being embraced by virtually everybody. I mean, people that claim to be conservatives, I hate that term because it's been co-opted, are now saying, oh, golly, I got people back in my home district that are, they really need this, and we've got to do something. And, if you're compassionate, you'll do this. No, compassion happens not by compulsion. Remember that. Compassion and compulsion are incompatible. How about that for alliteration? The fact of the matter is that now you're saying if we won't steal from the other person to give to you, you're not compassionate. So again, all of Trump's, everything he's done since he's been in office has been long on promise, short on details. And this is a fine example of that. And you're absolutely correct. Congress will be engaged in this if Congress will. Congress doesn't have enough backbone to do its regular job of budget creation. But the fact of the matter is, even if you claim that you're doing it through the Congress and making it authoritative, it is not constitutional.
All right, hang tight, everybody. We got to take a quick break, but I'm telling you right now, disaster.
Former Sheriff Richard Mack recounts in his book The Proper Role of Law Enforcement how he came to realize while working as a beat cop how wrong the all-too-common orientation of police officers is when they think of their job as being to write tickets and arrest people. Richard Mack tells of his personal transformation from by-the-number cop to Constitution-conscious defender of citizen safety and freedoms. Learn what it really means to serve and protect. Purchase your copy at cspoa.org. That's cspoa.org.
Get ready to be part of something incredible. We're breaking barriers and delivering the powerful stories that mainstream media won't touch. Your support is what fuels our mission to revolutionize journalism and bring you the truth. Join our passionate community of changemakers by donating at libertynewsradio.com today. Together, we're creating the future of news.
The Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit legal foundation committed to protecting our unalienable right to publicly acknowledge God. The Foundation for Moral Law exists to restore the knowledge of God in law and government and to acknowledge and defend the truth that man is endowed with rights not by our fellow man, but by God. The foundation maintains a twofold focus. First, litigation within state and federal courts. Second, education, conducting seminars to teach the necessity and importance of acknowledging God in law and government. How can you help? Please make a tax-deductible contribution, allowing foundation attorneys to continue the fight. You may also purchase various foundation products as well at morallaw.org. Located in Montgomery, Alabama, the Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit, tax-exempt 501c3 founded by Judge Roy Moore. Please partner with us to achieve this important mission. morallaw.org.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. So all I'm telling you is it's a scam. So let me give you choice A or B. You ready? This is how the Hegelian dialectic works. Choice A, do the Obamacare thing that's failed and cost everybody $1 gazillion and had to be subsidized, and it's horrible. Just replace that. Or go for the Donald Trump great new health care plan, which puts it directly in your pocket and cuts out the bad guys. Which one are you for, Doctor? No.
Like the answer.
Which of those two choices? No. Those
None
two
of the
choices,
above,
sir.
Sam. It's a common core problem that we have.
I can't force you to choose A or B, sir.
No, it's false alternatives, and that's exactly where we are right now in America.
And that's why I bring it up. It's disaster.
Yeah.
I choose C. Quit stealing my money. Leave me alone. I'll solve my health care issues or health share or whatever word we're this. My health challenges I'll solve in the private sector, and I'll make my own deals in my own private situations, and I'll just do it. And there you go. That's what I want. But see, that choice isn't even available to me, is it? No. And that's why this is a problem, Doctor.
Well, it is, absolutely. And it's also a complete it's a usurpation by the general government in every way, shape, and form. In spite of what John Roberts said when he ruled on Obamacare, we got the power to tax, so we can tax. No. Obamacare specifically said it was not a tax. And so every single twist of the way.
Well, if it's not a tax, then it means they're stealing my money.
It's a perversion. And by the way, they bought the votes necessary to get cloture in the Senate. The Louisiana senator and the Nebraska senator sold their vote for largesse so that they would vote in favor of it. It came about by corruption at every step of the way.
Well, the reason that we even have government-controlled healthcare tied to your job and subsidized and all that is because back in the day after World War II, the government wanted to kind of lock how much people could make, and then people wanted to find an end run around that. And so when they were controlling prices and wages and all these different things, then they kind of found a way to say, well, I can't pay you more, but I can take care of a big cost for you, which is your healthcare. And the government has, by hook and by crook, backed themselves into controlling every aspect of your life. And I was praying would be the one to call a halt to the con game and reject communism and socialism and all kinds of isms and replace it with the free market, the free enterprise system based on supply and demand, based on private sector negotiating and contracting of individuals and keeping the government out of it. The government's only job would be to create a level playing field, make sure contracts are honored. Other than that, they don't have any responsibility in it whatsoever. But we've been duped, and now Donald's promoting the great health care plan, and he wants to allow you to choose. He wants you to believe this is a free agency plan or an agency show. It isn't. It's A or B, baby. It's either the Obama style or the Romney/Trump style. Take your pick. And that's the problem, folks. Big time. All right, gold and silver pricing is cranking up. Gold's at $46.22. Silver's at $92 an ounce, Doctor.
You know, can't tell you for how many decades I've been saying this was going to happen. See, gold when I was a kid was like $35 an ounce. Silver, $1.25, somewhere.
Well, gold was supposed to be $20 an ounce.
Well, okay, just a quick recount on that. Back in read the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 5, Congress shall have power to coin money. Coin money means stamp precious metal. And so in 17, at the behest of Washington and Jefferson, Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1792. Creative, a lot different than the Pelosi Act or the USA Patriot Act. But at any rate, they basically said, here's what a dollar is, 371 and a quarter pure ounces of silver, or 416 of standard silver.
Well, grams of silver.
No, grains.
Or grains, I mean. Grains, yes.
Grains. Yeah.
Anyway, not ounces,
grams,
grains,
yeah.
so people understand. Not grams. That's right.
Okay, so anyway, and they set initially a base standard. Gold was 15 ounces of silver. Now that varied over the years. It went up to 20, went up, during the 1830s and so on. By the time I was a kid, it had gone through the gold heist of FDR in 1933, and they bought your gold from everybody had to turn in federal law. We're your hands. Oh yeah, we'll give you paper money for it, unbacked paper money, full faith and credit of the United States government. Yeah, right. So for every ounce of gold you turned in, you got $20 roughly. Okay. Immediately after they had confiscated all the money in 1933, they jacked the price of gold to $35 an ounce, and basically, so they basically lost about 40% of its purchasing power right there with that one act. So swing forward to my youth, and it's still basically at that price. Gold window got closed by Nixon. Petrochemicals became the trading backing of gold, et cetera, et cetera. Now you can buy gold, and it's up to $4,600 an ounce. Silver's 92, 93, whatever it is right this second. And that is a free market that's reflecting. Now, right now, gold is trading for about 50 ounces, just roughly 50 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. So it's coming closer to what the historical standard has been. It's still not there, but it's a lot closer than it was when it was around 100 to 1. Okay, so I've been talking about this for decades, and you have the Rust family come on and they do their coinage act with you guys regularly, and it's a good message. But here's why I'm worried. For all these years, I've been saying this is going to happen. We're printing so much money, it's completely unbacked by anything. The true value of that paper dollar bill is going to start to show. And when people start to recognize that through inflationary processes, the price of these precious metals is going to go up. Well, suddenly, leaps and bounds, it's going up. It's absolutely insane. Oh my goodness, it's not worth anymore. It's always what an ounce of gold has been, and an ounce of silver is what it can do with that is it. But the value against the dollar has changed. And so the movement has started. And here's why I'm a bit worried. Because first of all, most people have no clue what's going to happen to them. Second of all, when it starts jacking, when it really goes, when you get millions of dollars to pay for an ounce of gold, suddenly your economy is in the toilet. And there's no pulling it back without some real pain. That movement.
Well, what they might do then is create this jubilee where you'll get some kind of benefit, forgiveness, this, that, who knows. And what they'll do is move us into a fiat system that's on steroids. The fiat system's bad enough because they can manipulate things centrally at the Federal Reserve and everything else. But if we allow them to get their hooks in and create this, quote, digital government-controlled currency, then they'll basically be able to not only for everybody, but they'll be able to control it centrally, individually. They'll say, Sam, your money's worth less because you're talking bad about Trump's health care plan, buddy. And so, you know, your money doesn't spend like everybody else's does. Or we're not going to give you money for this. You criticize the health care plan, therefore you can't participate. And what they're going to do is be able to kind of centrally control down to the individual level money. That's what they'll do. And they'll create a forgiveness plan or some way to where you almost are forced to, kind of like the A and B for the insurance. Hey, if you want insurance, you don't really have a choice unless you have tons of money on your own. You're going to go without health concerns. I don't want to say share or care, or those words are buzzwords, but you'll be in trouble. And so this is their way to force everybody down the tracks, socialism that they want you to go down. And if you don't do it kindly, socialist, peacefully, gently, you know, they'll do it by force. But they'll start kindly and see how, you know, take the poison pill, doctor.
Well, and that's what we're seeing is kind of a replay. And it worked very, very well in 1933. FDR confiscated all the gold. It was not his. It was, I mean, private property, and this idea of no, you know, compensation, you know, the idea that only gold and silver could be used in Article 1, Section 10, all of these kinds of things were just absolutely by an arrogant, self-centered, narcissistic tyrant stolen from the people. And then they devalued the dollar about 40%. They gave you $20 for an ounce. They changed the price of an ounce to 35, which meant your dollars buy less. So anyway, all of this stuff is being replayed. I believe that there is a period of time. I don't know how long that period will be. I mean, there'll be an adjustment. We're seeing some movement now, pretty dramatic movement in the price of gold and silver. And it's always been intrinsic value. I mean, it's been known for millennia, the value of these things. And it qualifies for all the things for money. But I think after a period of time, after maybe, I don't know, might be a year or two, I don't know, 5, I don't know what it is, but those that have precious metals will be more secure, I believe, than those that have worthless paper money. But there will come a time when some tyrant, own good, which is what FDR did, we've got to stabilize the government and the financial markets, and oh my goodness, this Great Depression is killing us all. So I, therefore, an act of God by the President of the United States confiscates everything. I don't know when that is or what's happening, but what I'm concerned about.
I pray we can live righteously and turn to God Almighty and delay the day. I'm waiting for the Savior to return. But if you take the price of gold, that's $4,620 right now, and you divide that by 15, which is what gets you to the appropriate, proper ratios back in the day that we used to have when honest money was the order of the day in America. An ounce of silver right now would cost you $300, doctor, just for comparison.
Well,
isn't that scary and interesting?
It'll make us in better shape for a period of time, but boy, a comeuppance is coming.
All right, hour 1 of the can, 2 coming up. I'm Sam Bushman with Dr. Scott Bradley. Check out his incredible website, freedomsrisingsun.com. You can learn about his collegiate series to preserve the nation. Sign up for his weekly webinars, Q&As on the Constitution, and more. By the way, we'll talk about those Q&As coming up. What happened yesterday? We'll talk about it. I'm Sam Bushman, Dr. Scott Bradley. God save the Republic of the United States of America.